Hey artists, here is your information on making your hybrid animal project using PIXLR. So you can see I am at PIXLR.com and I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to go to PIXLR X to begin with. And I need to create a new file. Being new, I'm going to open an image. In our last assignment, I told you to download 2 images. So in my downloads, I'm going to begin with my base of an elephant. I'm going to search elephant because my downloads is full of stuff. And I have elephant for hybrid project that I named before so that I could find it easily. I'm going to choose open. Now, if you recall, the assignment directions say to have 2 or more animals that symbolize characteristics of one past or present role that you play. So my elephant symbolizes being loud when I'm a teacher. And then I'm going to add a bee to it to symbolize how busy or hardworking I am as a teacher. Remember, you cannot use graphics, you cannot use drawings, you cannot use other digital illustrations that you have found on the internet. So turning in a hybrid animal that you found, no matter how cool it is called plagiarism. If you didn't create it and you try to take credit for it, that is technically illegal. Let's not even get into the moral implications there of pretending like it was yours when someone else did the hard work. So make sure you're creating your own hybrid. Here is my elephant to begin with. I now need to add in the bee images. So I need to add my bee image. So choose add image on the bottom left, choose browse. In my downloads folder, once again, I'm going to do a search and search for bee since I have a big mess in my downloads folder. I'm going to choose bee for hybrid animal that I saved before and named so I could find it more easily and choose open. It says, do you want to add it to the current image as a layer or create a new image? And I want to add it to the current as another layer. Now with my bee selected here, don't switch over to your bottom layer. I can close this. I need to cut out the part of the bee that I want to keep. So notice I have it on keep. I'm going to use the lasso this time. So if the mode switches, put it back to keep. So circle or draw around. It doesn't have to be perfect. The edges of the body part of the animal that you want to keep. And notice, boop, it popped out. Now, obviously, this is not the right position and it is not the right size. So let's fix that right away. One thing that'll help is I'm going to need to zoom out so I can see this really well. I'm going to, with my top layer selected, go to my arrange. This will allow me to resize that bee. So I have a lot to do here as far as resizing. In fact, I'm going to zoom out a lot so that I can really enlarge, because I'm going to have to keep dragging this bee butt. Now, it's turned the wrong way. Elephant butt goes that way, bee butt goes that way. Here you have flip in your rotate and flip menu. This will give me, and move it into a visible location. There it is, a bee butt that's turned the right way, but the angle is off. So at the top you have this dot. Turn that so we're getting a better angle. Oh, we're getting closer. So it depends on how much. I kind of like the way that fits on my elephant there. Except I maybe want it to be a smidge bit larger. Elephants have large bottoms. And I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and choose close, but I need to zoom back in a lot. So I have a lot of adjustments to do with my cutout tool again. I still have the green hanging around the edge of the bee butt, and that's no good. This time use your paintbrush tool. We are still removing. And to remove the edges of the green, you want to think, what do you want that edge to look like? Do you want it to be a hard edge, like if you look at the edge of the elephant, a very sharp line, or do you want it to be soft? And this bee kind of has fuzzy hairiness to it. So I might want to leave it, we'll leave it at 50%, and go ahead and start painting out with red. That didn't work. Control Z to undo. Let me make sure I'm on the correct layer. Notice I didn't select the top bee layer. Now let's try that again. Ah, there we go. So now I'm removing that background that was not correct. And I kind of like that soft edge. I feel like it's giving me a more realistic, sort of fuzzy, hairy bee look. Now, it's not blending well here. This is where you use a very soft and maybe even larger. So notice I up the size and I up the softness and begin painting out this space. And I'm going to start to try to reach a point where I feel like I'm going to go even softer. The elephant and the bee are blurring together. I'm going to go 100% soft so I can get a nice fade on that edge there. Because the point, no, I kind of like that dark stripe, is to make it look like it's seamlessly fading together. So just a few touch-ups on the edge to make it look like I have this nice fade happening. Now, you may have some other issues to deal with. As I look at this, in my sketch, I also said this elephant tail needed to go. So I have this elephant tail that doesn't belong. Now, making sure I'm on the elephant layer, my bottom layer that I want to make the changes on, I'm going to go to my retouching. And I'm going to use the clone stamp. First, notice you're going to have to select your source. So choose the area you want to pull information from. And then notice it automatically switches over to paint. So then you can begin painting in the area that you would like to make corrections on. So I've taken out a little piece of that tail at the top. You can't see it as clearly. I'm going to switch back to source. I'm going to pull from these rocks and paint out that piece of the tail. Ah, I bet you see that. And now a new source again. I'm going to pull from these rocks and I'm going to paint out that chunk of the tail. So now the elephant's tail has totally disappeared. I'm very happy with that. Now, this actually looks pretty good. If you were ready to be done, you would choose save and be done. Occasionally, you may have coloration issues. So here's another one I was working on. It's a cheetah vulture. You can't clearly see the vulture very well. So that's something obviously you should have considered before you created this. This wing could be any bird's wing. So it needs to be clear the parts that you use when you're creating your hybrid. So this example is what not to do, but I made a cheetah vulture because my son talks about it. It's a long story. However, sometimes you have color issues you need to correct. So what you should do is make sure you're on the layer that needs correcting. So I feel like this cheetah looks kind of dark, like it looks like maybe late afternoon, whereas the vulture wing looks really bright and sunny. So I'm going to go to the cheetah layer and I want to look at my adjustments. So I maybe want to up the brightness on cheetah so that the colors sort of look like they're from the same time period. And in fact, there's really deep shadows on my vulture wing. So maybe I want to up the, contrast. So you might have thought at first it looks great. But when you see the small tweaks that you can make, you'll see that what you thought looked great was really not that great. So I'm going to apply that, and that tweak makes a huge difference. Now, obviously, I have some things to make, changes to make on the edge here. Remember that this project is not about just slapping two pictures together that they're just next to each other. We need to make a fade so this looks like they are the same part of the same animal body, and also need to adjust the edges of these feathers here. All those things will be taken into account when you finish your work. However, when your cheetah vulture or your elephant bee is finished, you're going to choose save at the bottom. You should name it something that you will remember. So hybrid animal project. And I would like you to turn in a JPEG to me. That's an uneditable file. If you would like to save a PXD, an editable version on your laptop, that's always a good idea just in case the website glitches. But that JPEG, choose download. It'll go into your downloads folder. That's the file you need to turn into me on Google Classroom for this project. I do not want your PXD. I want to see the JPEG of your finished work.